1,000 years ago, monsters from the Black Abyss invaded the world. It was then that the obelisks appeared, giving humanity hope for survival. Since then, people have been receiving power from the obelisks, which has allowed them to fight the monsters on equal terms. After many battles and increased strength, humanity finally managed to drive the monsters back into the abyss and preserve their lands. People built their capitals around the obelisks, where they hold an annual awakening ceremony to select new fighters capable of facing the abyss. But the monsters still lurk in the shadows. To defeat them once and for all, they still need the strength of the young. The 53rd Awakening Ceremony. The obelisk branch in the city of Lin Tian. The awakening ceremony is about to begin. Soon, the obelisk will assign them professions based on the personal talents of the students. And no matter whether they awaken as fighters or craftsmen, they must still contribute to the Huago. The future is in their hands. After 18 years of cramming, they can finally awaken. The boy wanted to be assigned to the warrior class, because then he could join a guild and earn a salary without having to work hard. Does he really think that becoming a fighter is easy? He should know that only 50% of those who try to join the warrior class succeed. It's time to wake up, but Lin Tianhao is still asleep. He's their worst student. At best, he'll get some kind of craft class, and that will be lucky. Only one class is suitable for him, the most worthless one, namely Beast Tamer. Lin Tianhao, the worst student in Class 2B of the #1 school in Lin Tian City. He finally lived to see the awakening. Although he came to this world in a strange way, he was still curious about who he would become. The guy asked Tianhao what he wanted to be. Of course, he dreamed of the S-class or some hidden class. The others just laughed at his dreams. The last one on the list dreams of S-class or a hidden class. The guys advised him to give up this dream because he could at least get into some kind of craft class. With such grades, he was a loser in life. If he wasn't mistaken, his last potential rating was Class C. But who said that dirt can't become a prince? Since he had ended up in this world, maybe a miracle could happen. The guy just hoped that he would be assigned to a normal class. An announcement was made to the students of Class 2B of the #1 school in Lin Tian City. They were to prepare to go on stage for the awakening ceremony. The first to go was Dong. He mentally asked this loser to watch him become cool. The awakening process lasts about 5 seconds. If he feels unwell, it's normal, and he just needs to endure it. A golden light appeared around his arm. At the command of the holy light, the awakening was complete, and he awoke as a warrior. However, his rank was C. That was already above average. Dong hoped that he would become a worthy warrior. The girl asked him to report to the guild center in Lin Tian as soon as possible. There, he would be given all the necessary instructions. The girls were pleased with Dong's result. They even wanted him to take them with him on his raids. After all, this guy was lucky. A warrior was a stable profession, a real breadwinner. As he was walking, Tianhao pushed him aside. Look who's standing there. It's their beloved class clown, Lin Tianhao. As usual, Dong didn't miss the opportunity to tease the main character. How annoying he was. He was surrounded by other guys who asked him why he looked so sad. It seemed like he had eaten a bad banana. They should give him a simpler face, because he's annoying. Dong was in a good mood today. He didn't want some nobody to ruin the party. The guy invited everyone to the bar on his tab. It's interesting to wonder what kind of complexes they have, since they're taking it out on Tianhao. In any case, it doesn't matter because it's time to find out for themselves. They were even afraid to imagine what kind of trash this poor guy would get. In any case, this guy is definitely not their equal. The main thing is to stick with Dong, and then they won't go wrong. Even if he really got an S rank, he wouldn't even understand it. Next was Lin Tianhao. He was invited to the stage for his awakening. Any class would do, as long as it was a combat class. Even a mage or support class would be fine. He even asked for it to happen. After he touched the obelisk, a huge golden light appeared there. Could he finally stop being a loser if he looked at this huge light? Is this really it? He shouldn't worry about it, because that's just how things are. And he should get himself ready mentally. It was the summoner class. It's the worst class, the most useless one. Even though it's considered a combat class, it's expensive to summon and not very effective. Typical trash. And this poor guy got it. He got a class even worse than a craftsman. Now his life is definitely going to be tough. Awakening detected in the owner. Binding in progress status. Lord of the Abyss can obtain 1 random SSS class talent. The Lord system is mandatory. For every 10 levels, you can get a random SSS class talent. A system appeared in front of him, and he immediately received a talent of that rank. And for every 10 levels, he receives a talent. By level 100, he will already have 10. An SSS class talent is selected. The SSS Demon Sacrifice skill was obtained. By sacrificing maximum health that cannot be restored, you can instantly level up a summoned creature and demonize it. That is, grant it the power of hell itself. A demonized creature can still gain experience and level up in battle. The price is, of course, serious. But it is not necessary for the summoner to enter the battle themselves. The main thing is that the summons are strong, so you just need to gather equipment that increases health. There was also a hint. Every 100 points of maximum HP give 1 additional summoning level. He currently has 1,000 HP. If he leaves at least 100 for himself, that means he can immediately raise his summoning to at least level 9. However, it was still not worth the risk. He had to use it carefully. The woman tried to comfort him. Even if the class was unsuccessful, there were always other paths in life. Tianhao thanked the teacher for his concern. He believed that he would succeed. It was good that he thought so. But, of course, it was a pity that it turned out this way. If he had awakened as a summoner, then perhaps it was time to consider a different future. Usually, those who become summoners have no future. However, Lin Tianhao would become the greatest summoner in the world. A few hours later, he returned home. His sister greeted him and asked him about his awakening and what he had become. The boy replied that he had become a summoner. That's the class that's considered the most useless. It really is that class. The girl tried to cheer him up. There was no need to worry, because next year it would be her turn to awaken. She would become a mage and protect him. Her brother, the summoner, would show what he was capable of. She just had to take care of herself and everything else. Her brother was teasing her again. Tianhao wanted to be alone. Let her play by herself for now. Her brother was treating her like a child again. He received a message that the students who had successfully passed the awakening should gather in a preparatory group. In any case, he decided to go and see what was going on. This time, the awakening results were quite good. 5 students were assigned to the warrior class. 8 were assigned to the mage class. 11 were assigned to the support class, and 1 became an elf summoner. Wang Dong, as usual, laughed that the trash had been assigned to the bio-waste. Quite rightly so. Another person replied that if he had been assigned such crap, he would have jumped out of the window. Tianhao's situation was special. The teacher had a book on calling for beginners that should help him. If this guy has any difficulties, he should come to the teacher. The book is quite dusty. It seems that the recruiters are really among the last ones here. They've gathered here today so that the school administration can collect accurate data on those who have successfully passed the awakening. Everyone who has awakened is required to be present. Now, it's time to move on to the testing. It's time to begin. He wanted to be the first. He received 73 points for that strike. A good result. Now the next one. And for that, Wandong received 89 points. A very high score. It seems that this person will be the best this year, and he'd better keep up the good work. Next up was Tianhao. The book the teacher gave him did describe the basic summoning skill. But he had never tried it before. All he could do was hope for luck. A wind began to gather around him. The others didn't understand what was happening. Could he really summon something? But what would it be? However, slime appeared there. He didn't expect this result either. So much noise. And in the end, just slime. She was so cute that people couldn't be sure she could even fight. Any monster could probably smear her with its snot. At best, this slime could be used to clean the floors. Could this really be his summoned creature? A summoned beast of the initial level. First level. It had 2 skills. Powerful slime spray and slime spit. No equipment. A normal white summon, only 9 attack points. It would be more effective to tickle it. The teacher told everyone to shut up. First they had to look at the test results. Only 9 points. Everyone present began to laugh, while the teacher began to comfort Tianhao. 9 is also a grade, so there's no need to be too upset. The boy asked the teacher if he could try again. It was time to use his talent, sacrifice to the demon. The system asked if the user wanted to confirm the sacrifice. After the sacrifice, the summoned creature would be demonized forever and receive a level upgrade. He decided to sacrifice 200 horsepower to start with. The others didn't understand what this man was doing there. He could repeat everything until he was blue in the face, but the result would be the same. His health decreased to 800 points. Everyone immediately saw that something was happening to the slime. Could this be the dismantled version of the slime? Demon slime. Initial 3rd level. Skills. Highly corrosive slime. Spit Slime and Demon Dance. Tianhao ordered the slime to attack. The slime immediately jumped onto the dial. Everyone present simply couldn't believe their eyes. There were 120 points. The teachers and students couldn't understand how the slime could have scored as many as 120 points. Could this underachiever really be that strong? Even Wandong had 89 points, and this failure had scored over 100. This simply couldn't be. How could this nobody have a higher score than him? Even the warlord Huajia, Fan Changyun, only got 101 points back in the day, and Lin Tianhao got 120. He took the test twice. He must have tampered with the machine the second time. Others also began to claim that there must have been cheating involved. This guy had 9 points at first, and then suddenly jumped to 120. It's just nonsense. He did do something, but he definitely didn't tamper with anything, just his stats. The teacher admitted that they were right about something. Tianhao explained to the teacher that he hadn't cheated. He went over to the equipment. After a thorough analysis, he announced that the equipment had indeed malfunctioned. Lin Tianhao had not cheated. Well, of course the equipment was broken. How could such a nobody possibly beat him? Wang Dong wanted to know what to do about Tianhao's result, since the equipment had broken down. Of course, they had to count those 9 points. The first time, the equipment had worked properly, and they had all seen it. Since the equipment was faulty, the result was invalidated. A retest would be held later. Was the teacher really giving him a second chance? The students began to protest, not understanding why the result was being cancelled. They had seen with their own eyes that this person had scored 9 points. The teacher had to be fair. It looked like he was covering for this guy. The teacher told them to stop and that he would decide what to do. Since the equipment was broken, the test was over for today. Those who had not yet taken the test, including Tianhao, were to return later when the equipment was repaired. The guy behind Wandong wanted to say something, but he immediately shut his mouth when he saw the look on the face of the person standing in front of him. Even if he retakes it, the result will be the same. A chicken cannot become a phoenix. It's ridiculous to even think about it. He suggested going to the first level Black Abyss and ignoring this nobody. Isn't that the initial dungeon? Perfect. He had just decided to test what the slime demon was capable of. Did the students really ruin this machine so badly? Amazing strength. Could there be another genius at the school? The old man noticed that this guy had an excellent physique. These were good qualities for a summoner. That phrase sounded suspiciously familiar. Tianhao wondered if they were talking to him. He had a top-of-the-line magic wand for summoners, which he could sell for 300 gold coins. They clearly wanted to rob him. How could a piece of wood be worth 300 gold coins? The old man offered to find him a soulmate for 300. He wouldn't sell it to anyone else for 3,000. It seems that the stick really does have power. In this world, there isn't even a summoner's guild. The equipment is rare, so it's worth taking. He named the price at 300 gold pieces, as he had done before. However, he only had 92 gold coins in his purse. Tianhao asked if he could buy it at a discount for 92 gold coins. Oh, the vicissitudes of fate. He decided to accept 92 gold coins as a deposit, and that was only so that he wouldn't sell the stick to someone else. If he wanted to buy it, then he should go to the deepest place in the Black Abyss of the first level and bring him one valuable item from there. Then, the stick would be his. Tianhao asked if he could still refuse. What kind of quest was this from the NPC? When he reaches the depths, he will understand everything himself. Now, he had to put his fingerprint on the debt note. The main character asked the old man if this wasn't too aggressive of a sale. Stop arguing. Let him find this thing and not forget about their deal. The teacher approached the elder to ask what he was doing there. The equipment broke down today, and the test was cancelled. The teacher suggested that the elder return. The old man wanted to know if he knew this student. This guy is named Tianhao from his class. He's a guy with a tough life who got assigned to the hotel class. It looks like he's going to have a hard time. His path will indeed be difficult. Entrance to the first level of the Black Abyss, Cold Valley. The first level of the Black Abyss, also known as the Cold Valley, requires a group of 3 to 5 people. Level restrictions are from 1st to 10th. If you try to enter above the allowed level, you may be eliminated by the supervisor. The minimum number of participants in a team is 3, which means he cannot go solo. The guy decided to check out the rankings for the fastest completions of Cold Valley. If you make it into the monthly rankings, you can get a generous reward. Fan Changyun was in first place. The reward for first place was equipment. Beginner's chest armor, available to all classes. It was gold quality, giving a bonus of 30 to armor, 20 to magic defense, and increasing maximum health by 120 points. It was a powerful item to start with. It seems like he really needs to fight for first place. I need to increase my health reserve. That was the same loser who got 9 points. Does he really hope to get through the Black Abyss? Hasn't this guy looked at himself? He won't last 10 seconds in there. Don't they have a life? Summoner, he even went into the abyss. He'd be better off planting radishes on a farm. Tianhao told them to watch their backs. Zhang Yunfeng, first level, Wood Elemental Mage, E-rank talent. He mentioned that it takes at least 3 people to enter the abyss. Let him go in first, then they can talk. Zhou Dashan, first level, Earth Elemental Mage, E-rank. And Wan Dun, first level, Holy Shield Knight, C-rank. Wandong shouted that his team had a C-rank warrior and 2 E-rank mages, so he asked who wanted to join. They immediately noticed the warrior recruiting a party. It seemed like they were saved. A crowd immediately gathered in front of them. They all wanted to join their team. Some were fire mages who could kill from a distance, which was ideal for the cold valley. Others were priests who could cast a protective aura against the cold. He then chose 2 people. They immediately began to praise Wandong, because he really was a C-class warrior. His 2 friends began to explain that they should just follow their brother. Wandong is going for first place this time. Was he really going to take first place in speed? If so, they wouldn't let him down. Suddenly bones fell out of the entrance. Yunfeng told the 2 not to fall behind. 1 step to the side and they'd be dead. After that, they decided to move forward. Wandong and his pair are still freaks. Those 2 definitely won't make it out alive. Death here isn't permanent, but the price for resurrection is high. It's better to get through without dying. That's the ideal option. In front of his head was a description. Lin Tianhao, first level, summoner class, S-rank talent, special skill. Choose an S-rank talent every 10th level. Everyone paid attention to the guy with the S-rank talent. One person wanted to join his party, but another stopped him and said that this guy was a summoner, and that it didn't matter that he had such a high class. It turned out that he was just another loser. His name is Li Shui, first level, Bard class, E-rank talent. It's a shame that this class's buffs only start working on the team from D rank. Judging by her appearance, it seemed like she had been waiting for someone for several days. Tianhao offered her to join his team. She didn't expect an S-class summoner to approach her, let alone invite her to join his team. He wants to fight for the Reich, but no one will take him on their team. So the guy asked if she would like to go with him. An S-class summoner wants to get into the rankings. That's impossible. But it would be a shame to pass up such an opportunity, especially with such a handsome guy. Li Shui agreed. The group was successfully formed. Lin Tianhao gave his name and class. Now they are partners. When they enter, he will take care of the monsters, and she just has to try not to get herself into trouble. The girl asked if this guy was really worried about her. She would try to protect herself and not cause him any trouble. Now they needed to find one more person. Everyone's attention was drawn to the goddess. Suginger, first level, druid, rank a talent. They all wanted this girl to join their team. One person was a holy shield knight who could tank and protect her. However, she was already fed up with this bunch of trash. It seemed like she was the queen of the school, Suchinger. She also recognized Togo, the most backward student in the school. It seemed that he had indeed become a summoner. This was a trash class. But she still thought about joining Togo's team. The guy didn't understand what was going on. Suginger called his name and ordered him to take her into his team immediately. The others were almost burning with envy and indignation. Tianhao asked if she was sure she was talking about him. Chinger replied that yes, it was him. Why would a goddess want to join some trashy summoner? How could their goddess end up with some bastard? Now they would hate him even more. Can't they see that she's already on the team? They should get out of here while she's still being nice. Chinger suggested they leave, as she still had a lot of plans for the day. Tianhao stopped her because he wanted to know why she had decided to join them in the first place. If she wants to get into the rankings, she needs 2 pushovers. With their help, she'll take first place, and then some. No one will dare humiliate her. Even coming from her, it was a bit rude. Chinger demanded that they hurry up and follow her. Why were they standing there like that? What a pain in the ass. However, now there would only be 3 of them. There were no more suitable people now. If it became dangerous, she would just have to withdraw from the fight and retreat. Is this really the inner part of the cold valley? It was indeed quite cold here. The cold was terrible. The warm clothes he had bought were of no help at all. She said she could create a basic protective aura against the cold. Chinger admitted that it was pretty good for a bard. Since they had decided to fight for a place in the rankings, they had better hurry. A rotten first-level stray wolf appeared before them. Skills: Spread Plague and Weaken Howl. The description said that it was forged in the cold valley, and the restless soul of a beast found refuge in a decaying body, wandering among the ice, driven by eternal torment. This is a low-level monster from the cold valley, a rotten stray wolf. Just in time, a great option for a warm-up. The form of a beast, the spirit of a cat. Now he saw what the druid class was really like. Chinger immediately pounced on the rotten wolf. With a couple of moves, she was able to get rid of the wolf. Tianhao noticed that damage was accumulating. That meant her claws were leaving a bleeding effect. A wolf pelt was worth 20 gold pieces per set. A wolf fang was worth 10 gold pieces per set. She handed it to Li Jue. Let her think it was a thank you for casting a protective aura against the cold. Qing Er didn't like to be in anyone's debt. The girl replied that it wasn't worth it. Now it was time to move on. Let them keep up. There were 3 more rotten wolves in front of them. Chinger dealt with them as well. Since there were 3 of them at once, it was difficult for her to cope. However, she still had to take first place in the rankings. Li Sui noticed that she was injured and asked if everything was okay. She wanted to cast a basic life restoration spell on her. But her little hill was so small that it wouldn't do any good. It was better to save her mana. She had a recovery potion with her. After that, they moved on. Chinger stepped on some kind of seal. A weapon immediately appeared in front of her. Fortunately, she managed to jump out of the way. A rotten corpse guard. Elite. 4th level. Mace striking skills. Putrid stench. Once he was the leader of the pack, but now he is just a rotting guard. Having lost his mind, he still fiercely protects his territory, obeying instincts that have survived even death. Is this really an elite monster? We're in trouble. Li Shu also didn't understand what a hidden elite mob was doing here. Perhaps Qin had killed too many rotten wolves and lured it out. This monster was too fast for her. The blow sent her crashing into the wall. Li Shu asked what they should do. They had to save her. The elite monster prepared to finish her off. At that moment, the main character summoned a slime demon. A 3rd-level slime demon. The guy then ordered it to use the demon dance skill. The slime immediately headed toward the monster. Then it struck. However, there was no one there. How unfortunate that he missed. The slime managed to take the Qinner. The guy asked her to take the Qinner aside and cast a healing spell. He would take care of this elite zombie himself. After that, the monster immediately headed toward them. Tianhao ordered them to use the slime spit skill. The slime jumped on its opponent. Bubbles appeared around the slime. Then he ordered the slime to use the demon dance. Its defense is too high and only half the damage is doing anything. We need to find another way. Only then did he notice that the slime could corrode his body. The elite monster immediately pounced on the slime. In that case, we need to use the demon dance and highly corrosive slime. We need to hit the ankles. The slime immediately obeyed the order. It really worked. The elite monster fell. At the same time, Li Shui cast a healing song. Thanks to this, Xin began to recover. Now his lower body was less protected than his upper body. Tianhao ordered his men to strike at the legs. This time, the elite monster was already covered in slime. Points appeared on the screen, indicating the monster's health loss. After that, the system announced that he had killed the elite monster Rotten Corpse Guardian. 120 experience points were gained. 10 wandering wolf skins, and 10 wandering wolf fangs. His level was raised from 1st to 3rd. He gained a lot of experience. It was probably because he defeated a monster at a higher level. Li Shu couldn't believe her eyes. This guy took out an elite with one blow. Are summoners really that strong? Qing Er replied that it wasn't about the summoners, but about Tianhao himself. He had single-handedly defeated an elite monster. His tactics and instincts were clearly on point. This guy was incredibly smart. Tianhao asked if she was okay. Qing Er replied that it was just a few scratches. Nothing serious. Li Shu replied that her treatment was too slow. She needed to stop and recover. That's not possible. They're fighting for their place in the rankings. Now is not the time to rest. She could still continue fighting. They had to keep moving forward. Li Shui asked her to be careful. However, Qinner's legs were unsteady. Tianhao asked what was the point of the rankings if she died. She agreed with him. In that case, they needed to rest a little. The map showed a cave where they would spend the night. The guy told them to rest while he went out to scout. Li Shui was very tired. It seemed like she had used up all her mana. She wanted to sleep so badly. The girl fell asleep as soon as she lay down. It was pretty quick. The main character told her to sleep too. He would go and look around. Xinger thanked him for saving her. Then the girl asked why he was staring at her. She wasn't some ungrateful slut. After that, she went to bed and asked him to pretend she hadn't said anything. She certainly had a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. After killing an elite monster, he was able to level up twice. Now he wanted to check his stats. For him, it was a decent boost. And this skill is pretty good. Essentially, it gives a boost, like a buff. Full armor. 400 health points were added, which meant he could raise his slime by 4 levels. But he should look for other ways to increase his maximum health. The guy decided to use conversion. Now his health was back to 800 points. The slime level rose to 7. His stats also increased. He added division to his skills. He also thought it was good that his stats had improved. In addition, the slime gained a new skill. But he became curious whether there would be any difference between the copy and the original after splitting. It's time to test out a new skill. The slime immediately jumped forward. Tianhao ordered the slime to use its splitting skill. Now there were 2 demonic slimes. And just by glancing at the stats window, he realized that health was divided in half. Agility increased, and defense decreased slightly. It was interesting to see how long this effect would last, and then he saw the timer. This effect would last only 3 minutes. What could be done in that time? Suddenly, the guy heard a scream coming from the cave. Tianhao immediately realized that they were in danger, so he hurried back. Li Zhu asked the master not to come any closer. The main character immediately ordered the use of the slime spit skill. However, after using the skill, it only dealt 25 points of damage. No damage at all. Cold Valley. Giant Snow Rabbit. Level 8. A strange humanoid creature in the form of a rabbit. It has the head and body of a rabbit, but walks on 2 legs. It lives in the harsh cold, which has given it thick skin capable of blocking basic attacks. The girls realized that they were definitely doomed, because they were facing a level 8 monster. This was very bad. A difference of 6 levels. They didn't stand a chance. The rabbit was already preparing to attack the main character and his slime. Qing'er shouted for him to be careful. However, it was just a rabbit. Its slime used the slime spit skill again. The rabbit immediately disappeared and reappeared in front of the summoned creature, Tianhao. After that, the monster kicked the slime. While the slime was flying, he appeared behind it to strike again. In this way, they were able to escape from the cave. Tianhao ordered the slime to retreat. It should use the demon dance and highly corrosive slime. This rabbit is really good at dodging. Li Xue didn't understand what kind of monster it was or why it was so fast. Qing'er explained that it was one of the most dangerous monsters in the Cold Valley. A giant snow rabbit. Many troops had already died at its paws. They hadn't entered the giant snow rabbit's territory. So why did it attack? The slime couldn't hit it because it dodged all the attacks. Maybe they should intervene to help. This is bad. The demon dance skill is on cooldown. He ordered the slime to return quickly. However, the rabbit continued to beat the slime. Li Zek moved to help. Qing'er tried to stop her. She threw a rock at the stupid rabbit. Let him try to catch her. The rabbit immediately noticed her. He was apparently angered by the girl's attack, so he decided to deal with her. She took a carrot out of her bag, shouting at the stupid rabbit not to come near her. The rabbit happily and easily swallowed the carrot. Now it was clear what was going on. This snow rabbit was simply hungry. Qing'er asked why she had a carrot with her. Li Zhe replied that it was their travel ration. As soon as the rabbit turned its attention to her, she immediately started throwing carrots around and running away from it. The parking time was almost up. They had to somehow immobilize this rabbit and finish it off. Tianhao told her to throw her backpack to Qing'er. It seemed that Qing'er still didn't quite understand his plan. But Li Zhe had already thrown the bag. As soon as she caught the bag, the rabbit immediately snuggled up to her. She took on her cat form, not understanding what Tianhao was up to. The girl jumped up as soon as the snow rabbit hit her. Tianhao asked if it wasn't obvious. He was going to kill the giant snow rabbit. The rabbit went berserk. Qing'er was behind him, realizing that this bastard was fast. She shouted, not knowing how soon Tianhao would do something. The guy shouted for her to lure the rabbit there and pointed the way. After that gesture, she understood everything. She immediately jumped off her spot, and the rabbit ran after her. The girl ran almost to a dead end, and at the last moment she immediately jumped to the side. Thanks to this trick, the rabbit crashed into the wall. A rock fell on the giant snow rabbit's head. Now it was time for the slime to appear. The slime immediately jumped up and began to attack. Finally, it was opened, and now the slime had to use its splitting and spitting skills. The rabbit looked in panic at the other slime waiting behind him. The system sent a notification that the giant snow rabbit had been destroyed. 200 experience points were earned. Only 100 experience points remained until the next level. It was just a level 6 snow rabbit, but it was so hard to deal with. Now she mainly has AoE skills. These are almost useless against single enemies. If they encounter another enemy like this rabbit, it will be bad. Li Shui was glad that they finally defeated that rabbit. She thought they were definitely doomed. Qing Er didn't understand how that guy dared to use her as bait. Tianhao apologized to her. Of all people, only she could match him in speed. How did he manage to get out of this situation so beautifully? It was all her fault. Who would have thought of dragging a carrot into the abyss? They almost got killed because of that carrot. Li Shui replied that she just wanted to take something to chew on. Who would want to chew on a carrot? She should immediately put it all in her spatial inventory. Tianhao stopped her. Killing one snow rabbit gives 120 experience points. So far, that's the most they've gotten from any monster they've encountered. If they can lure more rabbits, they'll be able to level up quickly. To get through the Cold Valley, they had to defeat the 10th level boss. And to defeat the boss, the entire team had to be at least 4th level. Currently, they have 1 3rd level character and 2 2nd level characters. To get everyone to 4th level, they need to defeat at least 5 snow rabbits. But even with 1 rabbit, they had problems. So she wasn't sure they could handle it if they lured more. Don't worry. Last time they were the prey, but this time they'll be the hunters. Qing Er agreed. She was planning to rise to the top, and she didn't have time to run around looking for more. And here they were, coming to them. Just what she needed. She had to come up with a plan quickly. Another snow rabbit noticed the carrot. The guys watched the rock and were happy that it finally worked. Then they immediately attacked it. 3 hours later, they were finally able to level up. The system reported that 5 hours had passed since they entered the Cold Valley. They had only been there for 5 hours, and they had already reached the 4th level. That was really fast. Even the record holder, the warrior patron of the Middle Kingdom, Fan Changyuna, had taken a whole 8 hours. That means they could even break the record, but that's unlikely. The final boss won't just stand there and let them win. The guide says that the boss is the leader of the walking corpses. He can summon rotten wolves and ordinary zombies. He's not difficult on his own, but the fight is long. At this stage, it will probably take 2 hours to defeat him. Li Shu asked what they should do. Of course, now they need to get themselves together and rest. They need to rest for at least half an hour. Talent skill activated. Blood sacrifice. Health decreased from 1,100 points to 800. With each level, the increase to maximum HP becomes smaller. I'll have to do something about this after we get out of here. The slime demon's level increased from 7 to 9. Its stats also increased. But the boost wasn't that impressive. However, there were no new skills. He just hoped that the boss fight wouldn't be too difficult. And again they heard a noise, which made them immediately run out of the cave. A unicorn was already waiting for them there. The guy asked what it was. Cold Valley. Secret boss, unicorn. Level 10. Skills. Melody of Purification. Horn Ram. Hoofbeats, Falling Star. A noble and pure guardian who sleeps in the depths of the abyss. He awakens only when life on his land fades away to drive out the invaders and give the valley a new breath of life. They really did stumble upon a hidden boss. They're really lucky today. But according to his stats, he's much stronger than a regular zombie leader boss. The unicorn used its horn. Thanks to this, Tianhao was hypnotized. How beautiful. He was walking straight toward the abyss. Fortunately, he was bitten by a slime. Tianhao complained that it hurt. Why does slime bite? After that, the slime pointed at the girls in his team as well. They too were mesmerized by the beauty of the unicorn. The girls were about to make the next video, stepping straight into the abyss, when suddenly Tianhao grabbed them. After that, they hid behind a rock. Qing Er immediately recognized that this was the hidden boss of the Cold Valley, the unicorn. But how did he even get here? Shouldn't the boss of the Cold Valley be the leader of the zombies? Why suddenly a unicorn? Probably because he protects the other animals. He is the guardian of the valley. He protects creatures like snow rabbits. They already killed a bunch of Wolka's rotten walking corpses and nothing happened. Or could it be because they weren't alive? Initially, if you follow the guide and just kill regular mobs, you could easily reach the final boss, the zombie leader, and complete the dungeon. But they accidentally summoned a hidden boss, who is much stronger than a regular zombie. Most likely they will all die here. Li Shu didn't want to die and suggested they escape. It's too late. They killed too many rabbits. Now there are marks on the human bodies. She believed it was all because of her carrot. It would have been better if they had just killed the zombies. Now they would all be killed by the horned horse. Why did Tianhao ask her what she was talking about? It was thanks to her that they got through this place twice as fast as the record time. Now all that was left was to defeat the boss and the passage would be complete. He tried to calm them down, saying that he wouldn't let anyone touch them. It's just a unicorn. Did he really think she would be scared of that? These two just shouldn't get in the way. Lisha thanked them. The unicorn had already noticed them. It looks like it's time to act. The unicorn uses its horn ram skill. Then it decided to fly across the chasm. Tianhao shouted for them to scatter. Now the unicorn was right in front of them. The system reported that the unicorn was using new melodies and purifications. The guy shouted for Li Shui to do something. The girl activated the bard's song, a ballad that provides purification and protection, a lullaby that weakens the enemy, and a warrior's march that increases damage. And then the unicorn decided to use the sound of hooves. The unicorn's horn was right in front of Li Shui's face. However, the horn was stopped by Qin Er. After that, the girl attacked it. Sanner shouted for this little thing to try to catch her. The unicorn became angry at such treatment and immediately chased after her. In fact, she believed that there was nothing special about this hidden boss. Tianhao shouted for her to be careful. With its horn, the unicorn pierced Qin Er's body. Li Shu immediately jumped to where Qin Er had fallen. Li Shu begged the girl to wake up, while the unicorn was already preparing its next attack on them. Tianhao decided to summon the slime. Now it was their turn. A 9th-level slime demon with slightly improved stats. The unicorn immediately noticed the slime, and the slime began to spit. This is truly incredible. The unicorn is a hidden boss, and the slime was even able to pin it down. The unicorn has a weakness to darkness, and the demonized slime deals dark damage. It counters him perfectly. The guy signaled for the slime to keep attacking. Unable to withstand another onslaught, the unicorn decided to flee. And this creature still thinks that the main character will let it go. Of course, he won't. Tianhao ordered the use of highly disintegrating slime in the demon dance. Now the slime must catch up with the unicorn and melt it. It immediately matched the unicorn's speed, and when the slime was level with its face, it struck the unicorn's wing. Tianhao praised the tears for their excellent work. But even though the unicorn fell, it was still alive. The guy shouted for everyone to cover their ears. The unicorn was already about to kill the cursed slime. The main character ordered the slime to dodge and activate its splitting skill. The unicorn already thought its horn was inside the slime. However, it so happened that the slime managed to split in two before that. The system reported that the unicorn was using the stomp skill. This battle must be ended as soon as possible. The full weapon buff will soon wear off. The guy ordered the use of a strong corrosive slime. While the unicorn was trampling one slime, the second was already behind him. Then the slime grabbed the unicorn. The system reported that the unicorn had entered a berserk state due to receiving fatal damage. The unicorn went mad. Tianhao ordered the slime to retreat immediately. But for some reason the unicorn did not attack. It just stood there. At first, Tianhao didn't understand why the unicorn wasn't attacking. But then he noticed something. Qin Er rushed forward, not understanding why Tianhao had frozen. The unicorn had to be finished off. Li Shu also wanted to help. The main character shouted for them to stop. Qin Er was annoyed that he wasn't doing as he was told. Now she would have to clean up after him again. After that, she killed the unicorn. Unexpectedly, it began to cry. Qin Er immediately stepped back, not understanding what was happening. Only then did she notice that the unicorn was crying for some reason. Suddenly a piercing sound struck them. Because of this sound, stones began to fall. A huge boulder was behind the main character's back. Tianhao ordered the tears to absorb it, and the tears immediately obeyed the order. Fortunately, the slime managed to absorb the entire rock, but the situation did not improve, because everything started to collapse here. Tianhao shouted for them to be careful, because the place was about to collapse. Another rock fell right in front of her feet. A rock also fell on Qin Er, but she managed to cut it in half with her claws. She immediately ran to the others. Qin Er asked what was happening and why everything was collapsing. The defender of this area had fallen, and the magic began to dissipate. This was bad. A huge rock was also falling on the unicorn. Harem ordered the slime to use division to protect the unicorn. The slime immediately split in two and then protected the unicorn as ordered. A huge dome formed over the unicorn, protecting it. The guys noticed that the collapse had stopped, so they decided to go and take a look. How is that even possible? The unicorn's blood had healing properties. The earth that came into contact with the blood began to regenerate. However, the unicorn was still alive. Its body was twitching. Qin Er believed that they should kill it immediately and escape from the abyss. However, Tianhao stopped her, saying that they couldn't kill it now. What the hell was this guy doing getting in her way of finishing off the unicorn? Li Shu also noticed that something was wrong with this unicorn. After all, the unicorn had just wanted to show them something. Suddenly it started bucking again. This made Li Shui jump. Qin Er thought they couldn't wait any longer. They had to finish it off now. Tianhao asked them to wait a little longer. She had said that they couldn't delay any longer. Suddenly they noticed the unicorn fall. They noticed that there was something inside the unicorn's belly. Another horn appeared there. Then another small unicorn appeared. Chinger had no idea what was happening. Could this boss really have the ability to regenerate? They had to kill him before he recovered. Tianhao tried to stop her again. Because he stood in her way, a cut appeared on his cheek. A drop of blood fell on the unicorn's horn. After that, the horn began to sparkle. Chinger grabbed his clothes, not understanding what he was doing. Suddenly, they heard a notification that the contract had been successfully concluded. A mark also appeared on his forehead. The system displayed a window with the characteristics of the unicorn calf. First level. Its skills included a cleansing melody and the sound of hooves. He knew it. This unicorn was a female who was trying to protect her calf in her belly. He just didn't expect to be able to sign contracts with the calf. Now he had a second minion. Chinger asked what was going on and where the unicorn had gone, and why everything was shaking again. They immediately noticed how the ground began to crack. Chinger pulled her by the hand, not understanding why they were standing there. They had to run away quickly. Tianhao stroked the female unicorn, saying that he would take her calf. He would take care of the little one. After that, the female's body began to disappear. A notification appeared stating that the unicorn had been defeated. They received 1 unicorn horn, a unicorn mane, unicorn blood, and a chest. These were the rewards for completing the Cold Valley. Then the system congratulated them on breaking the historical record. The rating began to update. Chinger shouted that he should get out of there and come to them. However, the guy didn't have time to do anything, and suddenly he began to sink into the ground along with his slime. The girls began to worry about him. A notification window appeared in front of his eyes, asking if he wanted to leave the dungeon. He managed to press the yes button, after which the whole group disappeared. And then they found themselves outside the dungeon. She really thought she was going to die there. Chinger immediately went to Tianhao. The guy tried to calm him down. He was fine. People started discussing the fact that the rankings had been updated. It seemed that someone new had appeared on the list. The rankings hadn't changed in a long time, so it was interesting to see who had appeared. But what difference did it make? It wasn't first place anyway. No one could beat Fan Changyang's record. Then they noticed that someone had left. It must have been the people who broke the record. But another team had just left. Why wasn't it them? This idiot doesn't seem to understand that if those guys were eliminated, they were obviously crushed, which means it definitely wasn't them. And that sounds logical. Then they shouldn't miss the chance to join the strong. Chinger started to get angry and asked what was wrong with these guys. They obviously wanted to die. Li Shui tried to stop her. A group led by Wan Dun came out of the gate. Of course, he also noticed that Tianhao had come out. He didn't even expect such a worthless guy like him to make it out alive. He must have been forced out. Then they noticed the school beauty. But how could she end up on the same team as this scum? She should have gone with Wan Dong. After all, he's a warrior. She demanded that the bastard shut his filthy mouth. Yunfeng asked if she had completely lost her fear to say such a thing. Wan Dong told him to back off. Now Tianhao should see the difference between them. Of course he could see it. After all, Tianhao was at the top, while this skull was crawling on the ground. Wan Dong immediately grabbed him by the clothes and asked what that bastard had just said. A notification came that the rankings had been updated. At that moment, Lin Tianhao was in first place. The guys simply couldn't believe what the system had just announced. This guy could actually be in first place. Others also noticed that the first place was indeed taken by some Lin Tianhao. Fan Changyun had held the top spot for 3 years. Had he finally been knocked off? It seemed that a new god of war had appeared. They had to join him immediately. They couldn't believe it was true, because that guy was usually a loser. How could he possibly be at the top of the rankings? The guys thought he must have cheated. That scumbag was definitely cheating again. He used to cheat on school tests, and now he's rigged the rankings. He's just a pathetic cheater. Others began to suspect that he really was a cheater. Suddenly, they heard someone ask if they were stupid. This was the Black Abyss ranking. How could anyone cheat here? Yunfeng immediately turned his attention back to find out who was talking. He couldn't believe his eyes. His mouth shut immediately. Lung Yi, 7th level. Berserker class, rank B talent. Su Xiaolan, 7th level. Priest class, rank B talent. Yuhan, 7th level. Light mage class, rank B talent. Muran Shui, 8th level. Assassin, nickname Shadow Executioner, rank A talent. Muran Yu, 9th level. Swordsman, nickname Golden Holy Lion, rank A talent. The guys immediately recognized the Muran brother and sister. However, they were seeing them in person for the first time. They were so cool. What charisma. No wonder they were called the Golden Holy Lions of the Muron family. The main character immediately noticed that the two had titles. These were clearly not ordinary people. Golden Holy Lion and Shadow Cloak. What were they doing here? Unlike ordinary mortals, such big shots usually end up in the abyss through special portals. Apparently this time they just wanted to be closer to the people. But they had gathered a whole team. What was their goal? Wandong turned to Ms. Muron and greeted her. He called himself a holy shield, and also mentioned his talent rank. However, she simply walked past him. Yunfeng asked if they really preferred this loser to Wandong. Couldn't they see who was standing in front of them? This was a holy shield after all. Murongxue asked what good a holy shield was if it was infested with worms like this mage. He clearly didn't expect such an insult. However, Wandong stopped him. He didn't care what these people thought of him, but he decided to warn them right away that this guy was nothing. And his first place was nothing more than a mistake by the system. He could rejoice in his false victory, but next time, Wandong wouldn't let him get away so easily. After that, they decided to leave. Xinger was glad that these whiners had finally left. It seems that this is the very same Lin Tianhao who updated the Black Abyss rankings. Murongyu introduced himself, and it was nice to meet him. Murongxue asked if this guy was really that stupid. Couldn't he see that her brother wanted to say hello to him? The man replied that it wasn't necessary. In that case, he simply decided to accept it. Xinger asked if he was blind. Couldn't he see that this guy was already on her team? Murongyue replied that he wasn't talking to her, so she'd better step aside. He should just go for a walk. After that, Qing Er wanted to take the two of them away from there. She didn't like to drag things out either. They only needed this guy. The others didn't understand what was going on. Was the Muron family trying to poach the summoner? He was the one who had broken the Black Abyss record. It was no surprise that a family like theirs would want to break the record too. With this guy on their team, it was the shortest route to success. Xinger wouldn't let them take this guy anyway. If Lin Tianhao left with them, her newly broken record would be immediately overtaken. Yuhan asked her nicely to step aside. There was no doubt about it. It would be much easier to fight with the Mu Rong family's team and farm with them. Moreover, they had 2 A rank and 3 B rank members in their team. Li Shui really hoped to hear that he wasn't really going to join their team. Of course, he wouldn't dare to do that. Of course, he doesn't think she has the right to decide for Tianhao. It's better to ask him himself. The Golden Holy Lion Knight Order invites him to join the team. Murongyu asked how he felt about the offer. He saw a notification in front of him that Murongyu was offering the young man a place on the team. Qinger replied that he shouldn't even try to lure Tianhao. After all, he would never go with them. To her surprise, the main character agreed. Tianhao agreed to join their team. The girl asked what he meant. Li Shui also didn't understand how this happened. It was a wise choice on his part. This guy was really something special. All that was left was to confirm the invitation, and then he would be on their team. Qinger begged him not to agree. Together, they would break a new record. It was beneficial for everyone. Or did someone not think so? But unexpectedly, he made a choice that no one had anticipated. Murongxue asked what it all meant. Murongyu tried to stop her. Tianhao asked them not to rush, saying that he could join them. But first they had to fulfill a couple of his conditions. The woman mentioned that the offer to join their team was already a privilege. He didn't need to be so bold. It was their right. If they didn't want him, then so be it. He would refuse. Murongyu wanted to know what his conditions were. It was quite simple. Trivial, really. First, after entering the Black Abyss, everyone would obey him alone. Second, no one would be allowed to take experience from the main character without his permission. And third, all the loot from the monsters they killed would be his. These were simply staggering demands. Even the others admitted that it was brazen. But that's what that team needed, so the conditions weren't too harsh. If they agreed, it meant that the Muron family would obey the summoner. And if not, they wouldn't make it into the rankings. If they accepted his terms, he would join the team immediately. All the members of his team tried to convince the captain that they shouldn't agree to this. This guy doesn't think much of them at all. If they don't like it, then let them try to get into the rankings themselves. People couldn't believe that they could treat the Muron family so brazenly. But this guy broke the fan record, so he holds all the cards now. He wanted to teach this upstart some respect himself. Muronyu didn't want to hear it. The guys shouldn't forget why they came here in the first place. If Lin doesn't want to join the team, then why try to humiliate him? That's right. Such actions would be unnecessary. Murongxue grew angrier. Murongyu tried to stop her again. It's just some cold valley raiding. But there's no need to get so cocky, or he'll end up badly. After that, the man suggested they leave. Chinger was only glad that they were leaving. She would remember this incident to Lin Tianhao. Meanwhile, the main character suggested going back into the Black Abyss again. If they did that a couple more times, they would reach level 10. He even felt that it had gotten a little cold. The girls understood that he had no intention of joining them. How could he explain how he felt when he had his own teammates? They really thought that this guy was a heartless traitor. Tianhao asked for a chance to explain everything. They would go get supplies first, and then they would meet back at this spot. The next visit was available in 1 hour and 23 minutes. It was painful after all. It would have been better if they had just beaten up monsters. There was still more than an hour until the next entry, so he needed to find a place to rest a little. The experience from defeating the unicorn had allowed him to rise to the 6th level. The guy remembered that he never found out what the unicorn he had contracted was capable of. Now he decided to summon the unicorn. However, for some reason nothing happened. Where was his little horse? The system reported that the summoning had failed. He needed to check the status of the summoned creature. After he decided to check the status, you learned that the summoned creature had not yet hatched. The system asked if he wanted to start hatching. Of course, he chose yes. Hatching is in progress. Countdown: 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds. Only 3 days. But why is it taking so long? In any case, all he can do is wait. Then he remembered that he hadn't checked what rewards he had received. A chest for completing the Cold Valley. When opened, it could contain random items, such as equipment, materials, and potions from the Black Abyss. Tianhao was very curious to find out what he would get this time. Suddenly, he noticed that he had a letter. As it turned out, it was a reward for a historical record. He received a package for the historical record of completing the Cold Valley. He was awarded the title of Fastest Man. What kind of title was that? Everyone would laugh at him. Anyway, it didn't matter. The main thing now was to open the package. First, the main character decided to see what was in the chest for completing the challenge. He received guard armor. It is suitable for all classes. Its properties are plus 50 health and plus 1 defense. He also received 2 small experience potions. When used, they give 50 experience. Now he decided to see what was in the second chest. The name of the necklace is Ice Necklace. Silver level. Properties: plus 50 points to mana and 10 points to spiritual strength. Gives 5 points of cold resistance and reduces the effect of cold slowdown by 15%. There was also a medium experience potion. When used, it gives 150 experience points. And the last potion was a recovery potion. When used, it restores 150 health points. Equipment is divided into 10 ranks: common, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, radiant, legendary, and divine. Tianhao didn't expect to get a silver-ranked item right away. What else could it be but luck? He immediately decided to equip it. So that's what equipment means. It's a whole different story. After that, the equipment became invisible. After that, the main character decided to look at his stats window. He had 2 skill points left. His stats had also increased. Without thinking twice, he decided to raise his full armament skill level. Thanks to this skill, the summoner's spiritual power protects the summoned creatures, giving them a small bonus to their stats for 180 seconds. The skill level was raised to 3. Defending summoned creatures requires even less spiritual power, and the summoned creature's stats are doubled for 200 seconds. How nice that everything worked out. Now it will take even less time to complete the dungeon. Next, he decided to improve the slime. Tianhao summoned a 9th level demon slime. The main character decided to sacrifice 100 HP points. That should be enough. But suddenly he noticed a system notification. The system asked him to enter the amount of blood to be sacrificed, and there were only 6 levels left until the next evolution. He didn't expect the slime to evolve. If it evolves, that means a new skill will appear. He would find out soon enough. Then he noticed that no details were provided. In any case, it's easier to try than to guess. His health points dropped from 1,100 to 500. Then the evolution began. Tianhao couldn't have expected such a result. The slime began to take on a human form. Qinger knew that it was time to gather, but she didn't know where Tianhao was. They were both standing near the Black Abyss Square. Li Shu replied that they could check the location through the squad panel, so she decided to do so. Then the girl saw that the guy was doing something in the forest. Qinger suggested going to find him. Meanwhile, Tianhao was trying to figure out what was going on. A naked slime appeared in front of him. The guy was immediately embarrassed because he didn't understand why she was naked. As soon as the slime saw Tianhao, it immediately jumped towards him. The slime fell right onto the guy's body. He was embarrassed the whole time he looked at her. Tianhao grabbed her hand. Even if he wanted to, what kind of pervert would do that to his companion? He took some clothes out of his inventory for her. However, the slime didn't understand what she was supposed to do with the clothes, so she just swallowed them. Tianhao explained that she was supposed to put them on. Then he told her to raise her arms. Was he now supposed to play the role of a father? It turned out that the summoned creature could wear equipment like a normal fighter. Perhaps this was because she was now humanoid. He hadn't even looked at her new characteristics after her evolution. Demon Slime evolved. The level rose to 15. All characteristics increased significantly. 2 new skills even appeared. Strongly corrosive acid rain and demon hugs. Separate corrosive acid rain. A separated part of the body creates a cloud and releases acid rain with a strong corrosive effect onto the selected area, causing constant damage. Demon's Embrace. As soon as the target is enveloped in acid-covered tentacles, it will suffer true torment, similar to hellish torture. Inflicts high damage per second on the target. This highly corrosive acid rain seems to be a new skill after the upgrade. The Demon's Embrace is learned through evolution. Both of these skills are cool. I'll have to try them out later. Xing'er didn't understand where Lin Tianhao had taken her. They were already very close. The girl told Li Shui not to fall behind. That guy was somewhere ahead. Then she peeked behind a tree and finally found him. But she didn't expect to see him with a little girl. Li Shui was very tired. However, then she also noticed everything. Xing'er shouted, "What is that guy doing?" Tianhao didn't understand what the two of them were doing there. Xing'er explained that they had been thoroughly searching the entire forest for him, despite his efforts to behave improperly toward a young girl. They had clearly misunderstood everything. He needed to explain it to them. But before he could say anything, he was suddenly hit on the head and called a pervert. However, he then told them everything. How could she have known that it was an evolved slime? She didn't even give him a second to explain himself. After that, Tianhao asked what they were doing there. It was long past the time to gather. If they hadn't come for one person, how would they have even gotten into the Black Abyss? And he was just relaxing here and even forgot to check his name. Looks like it's time to go in. Since everyone was gathered, they could go in right away. Meanwhile, the small group had already cleared everyone out, but he still hadn't shown up. It seemed that someone had beaten them to it. The man couldn't understand who could clear out the dungeon so quickly. He asked his boss what they should do now. "We need to find out who took their loot and buy it back from them, no matter the cost. This guy must be completely insane. First of all, it's a 1,000-year-old beast, and secondly, it's a secret quest. They can't be so devoted. Could another guild have captured it?" The woman told everyone to shut up. These stupid fools don't even realize that he was probably taken by some lone team. Loners are what they call newbies without a team or guild here. The other guilds didn't have any shards, so they couldn't have known that the unicorn had awakened, unless someone from another team that had already entered the Black Abyss happened to encounter and defeat it. And she was right. The unicorn had awakened prematurely, and the Black Abyss was unstable. Except for the Golden Lions, no guild could have known about it in advance. The divine beast was slain, a resonance began in the Black Abyss, and the dungeon became more difficult. Who defeated it after all? The artifact is now in the hands of strangers, those who have just emerged from the abyss. Perhaps it would be best to simply kill them and take back what is rightfully theirs. She especially wanted to teach that insolent one a lesson. However, he refused to do so. The Order of the Golden Holy Lion does not engage in senseless slaughter. Besides, if he defeated the hidden boss, it meant that he was a formidable opponent. Could this be the same summoner Lin Tianhao who recently set a record? She still wanted to add something. However, Mu Rongyu didn't want to hear anymore. He ordered everyone to follow him back to the guild. After that, they disappeared. It's so cold here. In any case, Xing'er believed that this time they would act quickly. What a show-off. Here comes the first rotten wolf. It's time to warm up. Let them prepare to be torn to shreds. However, there were 5 stray wolves here at once. Li Shu didn't understand where so many had come from all at once. The number of monsters at the first point had increased 5-fold. That's strange. What's the big deal if there are only 5 of them? She could take them all out with a single blow. Xing'er shouted Li Shui's name. Then the girl used her bard's song. It happened just in time. Thanks to that, she was able to deal with those wolves. It was actually easy for her. The upgraded Xing'er now deals almost 400 damage per hit. After all, her combat class is making itself known. Even if there were 100 of them, it wouldn't be a problem. No matter how many came, she would take them all down. But why has the number of stray wolves increased? Could it be just a coincidence? Shinner shouted for the guy to keep up with the group. Tianhao knew that everything would be revealed at the next spawn point. However, he had a burning feeling that something was wrong here. Qinger wanted Li Shui to continue buffing her. She was going to destroy everything here on her own. Tianhao told her to stop. Then the others began to wonder what was going on. Qinger told the team to stay calm. Suddenly, a huge monster appeared in front of them, and behind them, rotten wolves were waiting. Now it was clear that they had been hiding under the layer of snow. It was like a hunting trap. The group was surrounded. Qinger also didn't understand why there were so many of them. Li Shui wondered what they should do now. This didn't seem like a random attack like before. Could these creatures have learned to think? Then they rushed to attack the group. The girls screamed that things were bad, but in reality, he had everything under control. Tianhao used his prizes. Of course, he summoned the demon slime. Even outside the dungeon, people began to notice that the ground was shaking. Now it was clear that something was happening at the entrance. Human remains flew out of the entrance. Fortunately, some were still alive. One man even started vomiting from what he saw. They were shocked. Even the worker didn't understand what the hell was going on. With his last ounce of strength, he said that a breach had begun in the Black Abyss. A riot. Another man immediately ran up to him, trying to find out what he had just said. What did it mean that a breach had begun in the Black Abyss? Suddenly, they saw a notification that the deceased soldier had been moved to the Hall of the Dead. Countdown, 5. And then they noticed that everyone was dead. More skulls began to emerge from the portal. People didn't understand what was happening. The difficulty of the Black Abyss had changed. The system reported that the current difficulty was at the nightmare level. They definitely couldn't handle this level. They had to inform the mayor as soon as possible. A breach began in the Black Abyss. At the same time, the main character summoned a demon to drain the Black Abyss. Meanwhile, he was attacked by a rotten wolf, but he wasn't particularly worried about it. Of course, the demon would take care of all of them. The monsters immediately turned their attention back. He was so deeply impressed by the sight that his whole body began to tremble. All they could see were the corpses of the rotten wolves. Meanwhile, Tianhao jumped up with the slime demon. Qinger couldn't believe he was that strong. Li Shui was also amazed by his power. Tianhao told the two of them to step back. After all, you don't have to ask girls twice. They believed in this champion. For some reason, Qinger felt that these monsters had become stronger. So she wondered if Tianhao could handle them alone. Li Shui asked the commander to give them a hard time. He was extremely confident and told these damned monsters to attack. They immediately wanted to rush into battle. The wolves planned to surround the guy from both sides. However, the main character told the slime to push them back. But even so, the wolf managed to dodge the slime's attack. Li Shui didn't know what to do now, because the commander was trapped on both sides. Qinger noticed that these leaders were much stronger than ordinary wolves. Lin Tianhao was now in serious danger. The main character ordered the slime to stand in defense. A huge dome of slime appeared, into which the wolves' teeth had just sunk. The wolves' health began to decline. Liok also noticed that their health was decreasing. The tentacles inflicted damage upon contact. These leaders were definitely doomed, but the guys rejoiced too soon. Even despite the decrease in health, the wolf still began to bite off the slime. Thanks to this, it was able to reach Tianhao. This was getting interesting. Li Shu asked what they should do now. Their defense had been broken. Qinger told her to heal her quickly. Other monsters were already trying to join the fight. They needed to finish the healing quickly, because they were already close. Then two wolves attacked Tianhao from both sides. And again these coordinated actions. So his guess was right. Seeing that they wanted to kill Tianhao, she wanted to run over to help. However, Qinger stopped her and asked if she had lost her mind. But Lin Tianhao was there. She had to think of something quickly. Does she really have to use this? Energy potion, murky. After use, the body is temporarily strengthened for 1 minute. Upon expiration, double damage will be dealt. It seems like she really has to do it. Tianhao said that the slime can attack. The guys were starting to lose track of what was going on. However, it was clear that the rotten wolves had been thrown back. The main character controlled the slime and showed it what to do. After that, Tianhao decided to use the Demon Embrace skill. Thanks to this skill, only bones remained of the wolf. The system reported that a rotten stray wolf had been killed, and experience points were awarded. Li Shu was delighted that they had won. Qinger couldn't believe that he had crushed the 10th level Wolf King with his bare hands. Suddenly, one monster mounted another. It was a combo attack, a storm of rotten hammers. The two began to create a whirlwind of rotten corpses. But how the hell could they use a combo attack? Monsters of the Black Abyss's initial level shouldn't be able to use such techniques. After combining, their defense and attack skyrocketed. Tianhao definitely wouldn't be able to withstand it. Qing'er shouted for him to be careful. The slime grabbed the main character's waist. Then he jumped back. Now it was time for the slime to act. The slime tried to break through the whirlwind, but only suffered damage. The girls knew perfectly well that this guy was about to die. What should they do now? Lin Tianhao hadn't gotten her permission to die yet. She decided to drink that very potion. Her strength surged dramatically. Qing'er was now in the bare form of a beast. She then rushed straight toward the whirlwind. As soon as Li Shui saw the bear in front of her, she fainted from fear. Qing'er did not expect that this potion would help her awaken the white bear form. She knew she couldn't waste any more time. The guy was already near the vortex. Now she used her new form to attack. Tianhao heard the bear's roar and immediately turned his attention back. This was clearly a mockery, as a bear had also appeared. He ordered the slime to retreat. However, only then did he notice that the bear was already behind him. The guy really thought he was going to die here today. He even closed his eyes so he wouldn't have to see it. But then he realized he was still alive. Then he heard Sin Er's scream, asking what he was doing standing there. He had to attack quickly. At that moment, he decided to use the demon's embrace. Now Qing'er saw with her own eyes how powerful Tianhao was. Qing'er shouted for him to do something quickly. Those monsters were preparing another combo attack. Did they really think the main character would let them use the same technique twice? He ordered the slime to grab these monsters. After that, they were finally defeated. Now she could breathe a sigh of relief. They had finally done it. However, she wasn't quite out of the woods yet. Tianhao came down to her and said that she had arrived just in time. If she had been a moment later, those zombies from the humpbacked mountain would have turned him into mush. This was quite strange, because she had never turned into a bear before. Only then did it become clear that it was delayed damage. Things were really bad. She fell right before his eyes. After that, Ziner almost returned to normal, but her health was critically low. She only had 10 health points left. She was lucky to have survived with that. No one was worth it, because now he would give her the potion. Thanks to that, she began to come to her senses. The fur on her body began to disappear. He sighed with relief as soon as he realized that everything was going to be okay. Suddenly, Tianhao wondered what this soft substance was. What was it? Qing'er asked the guy if he was okay. Then she noticed that blood was coming from his nose. She immediately covered her body and called him a pervert. He thought it was unfair since he had saved her life. So she just hit him. She immediately returned to normal, and clothes appeared on her body. Qing'er threatened that if he told anyone about this, she would kill him. Tianhao replied that she was actually dying, and he had nothing to do with it. Was she embarrassed? Qing'er asked if he had heard her words. The guy immediately replied that he would take this secret to his grave. After that, she let go of his clothes. She told him to remember that she would not repeat herself twice. The guy replied that he understood everything. After that, Qing'er suggested that they go check on Li Shui. As soon as they approached Li Shui, they saw that she was simply asleep. It was surprising that she could fall asleep in such a situation. She must have nerves of steel. Tianhao tried to wake her up. She woke up immediately and begged not to be eaten. The guy mentioned that if the monster had wanted to eat her, she would be swimming in stomach acid by now. Qing'er replied that they had killed all the monsters so she could calm down. The girl asked if it was really true. Tianhao replied that it was. After that, she threw herself into his arms. In fact, Li Shui was happy that they were both alive. It was all thanks to Qing'er's timely intervention. Now what should they do next? They had surely noticed themselves that the Black Abyss had become more difficult. Moreover, there were more monsters, and they were clearly more powerful than before. Li Shui asked once again what they should do now. He believed that they should leave the Black Abyss. It was dangerous to remain in such conditions. They both agreed with this statement. It wasn't worth the risk. The system then informed them that leaving the dungeon early would result in a level penalty. However, he didn't care, and simply wanted to leave. But only then did they notice that the exit had failed. And then they noticed that the difficulty of the abyss had changed to nightmare. Could they really not get out now? Qing told her not to be afraid. The difficulty had increased, but it was still the initial level. They would be able to overcome it. The level limit hadn't changed. It was still recommended for levels 1 to 10. It had just gotten harder. But even the ordinary monsters were too strong, so what would happen to the boss? First, they had to reach level 10. The sooner, the better. But he still had a bad feeling about it. Qing'er called Li Shui to follow her. Li Shui asked if they weren't going together. If they split up, they wouldn't have to share their experience. That way, they could level up faster. Tianhao usually didn't get involved in fights, so he wasn't much help. Then they would meet here when everyone reached level 10. An hour later, he finally reached level 10. It took a lot of effort. Although the three of them could only reach level 10 at most, there were no such restrictions for summoned creatures in the abyss. However, his summoned creatures could only be leveled up through sacrifice. A slime demon of the initial rank. Level 15. The stats are increasing slowly. Could it be because of the class? The ice unicorn is still in the hatching stage. 69 hours and 34 minutes remain. It would be great to speed up the hatching. Another summon will put less strain on it. Maybe there's a way in this book. Just as he found something interesting, he suddenly realized that the boss had already spawned. The leader of the walking corpses awoke. Li Shu and Qinger were already running away from him. Suddenly, Li Shu fell. Qinger used her cat spirit skill, Shadow Step. Thanks to this, they managed to jump away. But their mana was already depleted. Suddenly, a mace appeared in front of her. She didn't have time to do anything before she was knocked back, and she took damage as a result. Tianhao arrived just in time. The slime created a safety cushion for them. The main character asked how they were feeling now. Qinger couldn't feel her arm. Suddenly, a whirlwind appeared. Another monster emerged from the whirlwind. This leader was much stronger than before. He was no longer the same. The monster began to look more like a human. Cold Valley of the Abyss. Boss. Leader of the Walking Corpses. Level 10. Skills. Rotten Hammer. The leader's normal attacks inflict a rotting effect, causing the target to take 20% more damage from the boss for 10 seconds. Summon Fallen. Every 100 seconds, summons 2 walking corpses and 4 stray wolves to attack. Ice Armor. Using blizzards and snow, forms armor that increases defense by 20 points. Qinger replied that this guy definitely couldn't defeat him, so they had to run. But now it was too late to escape. They were all already in battle. But even on Nightmare difficulty, this is just the boss of the starting location. If you break the crystal, you can defeat him. Tianhao ordered the slime to use the demon dance skill. Nothing happened, and the slime moved straight toward the boss. The guy used the full weapon skill, the demon slime's second form. Its stats doubled. It used the split skill, demon dance, and highly corrosive slime. Thanks to this, the monster was surrounded. However, even so, it managed to win. One of them was defeated, dealing damage to it. The guy didn't expect this to happen at all. After that, the boss knocked the slime straight into the wall. Tianhao ordered the slime to return quickly. He knew perfectly well that the slime was no match for this monster. Meanwhile, the boss used his skill to summon his minions. There was no choice but to use the accelerated summoning technique he had recently read about. An egg appeared in front of him. Tianhao began to recite the spell. However, the monsters quickly caught up with him. At that moment, Qinger got rid of them. But even that attack had a backlash. The guy started reciting the spell again. However, he realized that they would not make it in time. A shield suddenly appeared around them. Fortunately, they managed to survive the blow thanks to Li Shui. The girl asked the commander to hurry up. Her protective aura was only first level and wouldn't last long. And again he began to recite the spell. They had to finish this quickly. The protective aura was broken. The slime tried to hold the monster's hand. Now the spell was complete. A huge flash of light appeared in front of the monster. Could he really have succeeded? A unicorn appeared there. But even so, the leader of the walking corpses moved into the second phase. Qinger shouted for him to run away quickly, but now it was time to attack the unicorn. With a single attack, he was able to pierce the boss's armor and also pierce its crystal. Thanks to this, the boss was defeated. She couldn't believe her eyes. How could the boss be defeated with a single blow when he had 30,000 health points? Tianhao approached the unicorn and asked if it was okay. A special ice unicorn. First level. It has charm skills and a horn strike. Its final move is a 7-colored horn. The leader of the walking corpses had been defeated. The unicorn was simply incredible. The slime also deserves credit here. If it hadn't held back the leader of the walking corpses at the end, he would have been smeared across the ground. After that, he approached the girls and asked how they were feeling. Qinger didn't expect this guy to save them again. Could this be his new calling? A first-level summoned creature was able to take down the leader of the walking corpses. To say she was shocked would be an understatement. Tianhao himself didn't know that the damage could be so high. The leader of the walking corpses was a dark attribute monster, while this unicorn minion had dual light and ice attributes. Such damage was the result of elemental advantage. Now the main character understood everything. The system congratulated the adventure seekers on successfully killing the boss in front of the leader of the walking corpses. The reward is being evaluated. For the current difficulty, they received double the reward. They will receive a reward for the first run, for speed, and rewards for the method of killing. It was also announced that hidden equipment will soon drop. He appeared in some dark place, and in front of the guy appeared an item called the Tablet of the Flaming Spirits of the Underworld. Legendary quality. This is summoner equipment. Attack -30 points, defense -50, speed -60, and spiritual power +200 points. The guy didn't understand why a legendary item had negative attack and defense stats. The first active effect. After killing any enemy, their soul can be sealed and summoned to your side in battle. The second active effect. Every 5 souls can be invested in any summoned creature, strengthening it with the soul of the fallen. The passive third effect will be unlocked at level 10, and the fourth effect will be unlocked at level 20, so he can summon defeated enemies. You can also embed the souls of the fallen into existing minions. That's pretty interesting. Suddenly, something fell into his item. It was the soul of a nightmare-level boss. It turns out that the soul of the leader of the walking corpses was indeed printed. It seems that souls can still be collected for some time after the battle. Suddenly, he saw a wolf attacking him. It turned out to be a sinner. Shinner asked if he was scared. He thought a monster had attacked him again. But she was a cat, so how did she turn into a wolf? Does he really think he's the only one who got a hidden equipment reward? She got one too. The item's name is Phoenix Feather. Epic quality. Druid equipment. Attack and speed were doubled. Even if it was epic, this equipment looked more powerful than his legendary gear. Passive effect. The duration of any druid form was doubled. The first active effect is the power of the Ice Wolf, transformation into a deadly and fast Ice Wolf. The second active effect is the power of the Brown Bear, transformation into a mighty armored brown bear. The third active effect is the power of the Phoenix, transformation into the strongest Phoenix warrior. But there are side effects. What kind of beast is this Phoenix warrior? She doesn't know herself, but it says here about side effects. So she hasn't decided to check yet. Leisure called them over. The guys asked who she was. From now on, she will also be able to protect them. A small creature settled on her hat. This new piece of gear that dropped looks really powerful. Cyclone's political hat. Shining quality. Set contents. A magic hat that you already have. A staff, a robe, and a necklace. No stats. Stats increase when the full set is collected. Li Zui had never heard of Cyclone, so she didn't know who it was. Chinger doesn't know about it either. She suggested asking the teacher when they leave the dungeon. First passive effect. Summons a guardian spirit. All magical effects are tripled. Cyclone attacks on its own. It seems that this is the Cyclone we're looking for. The passive effect is just crazy. Against this backdrop, his underworld chest looks like a pile of junk. It's a good thing they had a unicorn with them, otherwise they would have been doomed. The unicorn didn't even want Chinner to touch him, and he immediately went to Li Shui. He was as soft as silk. Chinner didn't understand why she wasn't allowed to touch him. It's time to go. This time, the difficulty of the abyss has skyrocketed, so we need to find out what happened. After that, they appeared at the entrance. They immediately noticed the people who had just come out. Oh, people didn't understand what kind of beauty had just come out. Is that even legal? She was so beautiful, like a fairy. Tianhao didn't understand what they were talking about, so he turned back. Behind him was a girl of stunning beauty. He didn't know who she was either. The girl asked if the owner wouldn't recognize her. Only then did he realize that it was a unicorn. The boy approached the teacher and said that something had happened. The teacher asked what had happened. Someone had emerged from the raging abyss. The teacher thought it was the wounded again. He told the boy to come with him, as time was running out. But it wasn't what he expected. It wasn't the wounded who came out, but the living. After that, everyone received a message congratulating Lin Tianhao, Su Qinger, and Li Shui on completing the initial dungeon of the Cold Valley Abyss at the nightmare level. The unicorn greeted its master. Tianhao told her not to come near him. Does his master no longer want her? They need to talk calmly, without using their hands. Li Gak told Qinger to look at it, and then she saw him touch the woman's breast. Qinger became even more angry. She screamed that this guy was a sick pervert, then scratched him. Li Shui suggested that she sing a healing spell for him. Tianhao thanked her for that. She was so caring, unlike Qinger. They were a team. Helping each other was normal. Qinger covered the unicorn. Tianhao noticed her turning back and asked what was wrong. The director approached them. He greeted the students. Of course, they immediately recognized Director Feng Yun. But why did he show up here? He clearly didn't come to praise them. Li Shu raised her hand and shouted that they were there.